Hello and welcome to Kanbanize. In the last video, we looked at a few tricks to help you get things moving quickly and painlessly across your boards. This time around, we're going to expand on the theme as we run through business rules. Managing dependencies, loading work onto the board, and tracking the overall status of projects takes time and, perhaps more importantly, focus to make sure that things don't get overlooked. Business rules will help you with all of this and a whole lot more. The programming of rules is based on the simplest of all logic. If conditions X and Y prevail, then do Z. Accessing the rules setup screen is easy. Go to the admin panel and the business rules are the second option on the list. Business rules can be set up and modified by account owners, but they can also be shared with other personnel to fine-tune as necessary. Click Add New Rule and 16 options will be offered. With these, you should be able to cover practically any scenario that you're looking to automate. Rules can loosely be classified into 4 categories. Executions prompted by main card events. There are 7 of these. Rules triggered by events affecting dependent cards. We've got 5 of these. Time-based triggers. 3 versions of these are available. And we also have one last rule covering historical card changes. I won't test your patience by attempting to describe each type of rule in microscopic detail, but I think we've got enough time to lay out a couple of everyday scenarios. Bob and his team over in production need to hand off completed work to the accounts team in Sally's office. All the essential details needed to calculate the final bill are present in the card's template design, so now all we have to do is make sure that the accounts team receives the card. Easy. To do this, we use a card is moved rule. When we set up a rule, we're offered 3 distinct columns: when, and then. The first area represents the predicating condition. The second fine-tunes with a further set of clarifications. And the final column dictates what happens when the preceding conditions have been met. For this rule, the when clause is predefined, so we can move directly onto the definition of the triggering conditions. Let's keep it simple and say that when any card is moved to the sent to accounts column, then the rule will trigger. We could obviously fine-tune this by adding any other criteria we want, but we're keeping it simple, remember. The then section is where we can dictate what happens. Let's change the card's colour, move it to Sally's management workspace and drop it into the accounts team swim lane. For good measure, let's also ping a notification to Marina, who heads up the bookkeeping area. And that's it. All cards hitting the sent to accounts column are literally sent to accounts. And it's now one less thing for Bob to worry about. He's also noticed that some cards seem to get stale. Some cards move into progress and then, for whatever reason, seem to take forever to complete. Spotting these unblocked blockages is a full-time job and, frankly, a pain to manage. What we're going to do is use a time-based rule to get on top of this. 4 days seems to be about the point at which Bob should get someone to look into it. The board is obviously production, but let's specify the section as in progress. A bit of a blunt instrument maybe, but we can refine the rule later as necessary. Now, what do we want to happen when 4 days have passed? Let's apply an appropriate sticker. Change the card's colour, move it to the expedite lane, reassign the card, and of course, automate an email notification to all interested parties. Problem solved. I'm probably stretching your patience to breaking point, but there's one more board level scenario that's really worth mentioning. Housekeeping and maintenance routines are essential, but they can also easily be overlooked when you and your team are focused on getting product out of the door. To overcome this, Bob has set up a recurring create rule. His planned maintenance cycle runs on a bi-monthly routine, so we'll need to go into the advanced schedule option and express this in the cron generator. Choose a time of day for the rule to trigger, and then set up a bunch of cards, each one pre-assigned and complete with its own complement of subtasks, representing a checklist of things to do. Bob no longer has to worry about forgetting any aspect of his maintenance schedule, and so by spending 5 minutes setting up the rule over a cup of coffee, he's effectively sorted out a chore that used to take days to micromanage. I'm going to leave it there for now, and thank you so much for making it this far. Having said that, I'm aware that I've barely scratched the surface of how useful these things can be if you set them up correctly. You'll find detailed tips in our knowledge base, and if you have any problems getting the conditions just right to suit your use case, the support team are on hand to help with the fine-tuning. If you want to discuss the topic at a more strategic level, get in touch with the success team. They love this kind of a challenge. Anyway, catch you next time, and happy Kanbanizing.